Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host Mark Ronajo, statewide news service, jbiztechphilly.com, and now columnist for the Jewish Press.
And I'm having a lot of fun with all three assignments, and the Jewish Press, I have a column called Albany Beat, and I talk about how government relates to the Jewish community, or doesn't, as the case may be. But someone who's always been a friend, who's in government and always been a friend of the Jewish community is John Clarkson, our Bethlehem town supervisor. Welcome to the Jewish View, and welcome back to the Jewish View.
Thank you so much for having me on again. I hadn't been to the new studio, and it's wonderful.
Well, I'm glad you like it. Channel 23, Fox 23 donated the desk, and we're very professional now, what can I tell you?
What's new in Delmar? That's the big question.
Well, let's start with the fun stuff. Just
right.
last weekend, we put in a new playground. Assemblywoman Fahey was instrumental in getting us funding, but it was put in by volunteers, notably Delmar Fire and a lot of other people.
Where?
We had 120 volunteers. It's at Elm Avenue Park in a slightly different locale from the old one, but it's new equipment. Playgrounds get out of date, they get old, they get in need of repair, and we had a wonderful vintage wooden playground. Now we're back to a more modern playground. It has really cool stuff. It has what looks like a zip line, and I didn't get to try it, but it's very neat stuff, and it was put together with a lot of volunteer help.
Is it plastic now? Or
it's metal, yeah, there is plastic involved. Yeah,
and is there cushions on the bottom so the little kids wouldn't hurt their tushies? Or?
I believe it's hard plastic. One has to learn the lessons of life, but it's really fun stuff. It's ladybugs, it's spiders, it's a zip line. I think the kids are going to love it, and a lot of work went into the planning with the community as well.
This was a state grant?
It's a state grant
like
plus some town money.
Like a so-called member item that we don't call member items anymore?
I think it might have been in that category of things, yes. But we're very grateful for it, and the town put in money and the community helped design it. So that's fun stuff. We also, from the same category that you mentioned, although it was a capital grant, I think had extensive qualifications in that, we've got a new kayak launch down at Henry Hudson Park. So that's very nice,
I thought that I would like, my wife's on my back, but can you rent the kayaks there, or you have to bring your own?
You can't rent them there. There are other places. There's now a place up in Albany where you can rent a kayak, but that's the sort of thing we're looking at. We have a parks master planning process, and we're going to look at Henry Hudson more, and that would be a great idea if we can get a way to do it.
And that's on Route 144 towards
River
Selkirk?
Road, yeah. It's River Road. It is in Selkirk. It's
okay.
Right by the Little Red Schoolhouse, which is the location of the Bethlehem Historical Association. Right. You make a left just past there. Beautiful park, underutilized. We'd like to see everyone use it. Everyone can use it, whether you're from Albany, Cohoes, wherever. The park is open to all. It's on the riverfront. We'd like to see more usage. You do not need a residence pass. Yes, you do not need to pay a fee.
So let me ask you about this fun stuff.
I didn't finish with all the fun stuff, but
I
go
got
ahead.
one of the fun stuff. I got something for you. What about a new dog park? There's a dog park that's located on Route 32, and it's next to this big container of some sort.
The water tank.
The water tank, and it's large and small dogs mingle, but now I understand you're going to be moving to a new dog park, and you're going to be separating small and large dogs.
Nothing is set. We have for a while looked to have a small and large dog park, and so that's part of our master plan. The new one was just, we had a lot of community input, and so that's still a goal. What might happen to that specific locale is kind of up in the air for a couple of reasons. One, there was a national grid proposal to build a substation over in the locality of some schools. The community would like to see perhaps a different plan. We're looking at ways to help facilitate that if we can. And one way we could do it, we looked around for land. We have land where they might want to put it where it's better and where we could move things around. So that could lead to a quicker solution there, or there could be another solution. But definitely on planning, not like next year, here and now. So for the moment, small and large dogs will continue to coexist. And, I have a small dog that thinks he's a large dog. So it's, there can be that problem. But the other fun stuff, and I want everyone to know about this, we are planning to do a first night in Bethlehem. This is, the New Year's, January 1st New Year's celebration. And that has been something that the city of Albany used to do. It was a wonderful night out. Take the emphasis away from sort of champagne and balloons and put it on cultural entertainment and family activities and make it local and community centered. So we're going to be doing that in Bethlehem. It won't be as big, obviously, as the one that was in Albany previously, or the one perhaps that's in Saratoga now, which I haven't been to, but it'll be right in our community. And, we've talked to the Chabad about participating as well, and we've several of the churches around, and we're going to have Battle of the Bands for the high school crowd at Town Hall. And it will run from 7 to 10. We're going to have the Mendelssohn Club. We're going to have a really nice time. So
you're not even going to run until midnight where fireworks can go off on New Year's Eve?
Well, we are the staid suburban community we are, and we know who we are, and most of us don't stay up that much past 10 o'clock. So if you want to stay up past 10 o'clock, a little self-knowledge is good.
Bars are open for you, Mark,
Not
over
the
here.
bars. I want the fireworks at midnight.
Well, the fireworks are going to be at 6:30 when we're all awake and able to see it, and the kids can go see it, right? We don't want to, if you keep the kids awake till midnight to see the fireworks, we've all been there, right? There can be fireworks right within the family.
They're children-oriented, the suburbs.
Children and family-oriented, so you see the fireworks, you do the entertainment. If you want to go home, you can go home and watch the ball drop, right? That still happens.
No, you go to Saratoga. It's early enough.
No, some people go up to Saratoga, but not that many, according to our non-scientific survey.
I went last year.
Do you remember the
Saratoga.
turkey trot that Bethlehem does annually, that race on the morning of Thanksgiving? Well, lots of places do turkey trots, and some of them are bigger than Bethlehem's. But when we started doing that, it was much bigger than expected. You give people the nice way to fill a holiday with something fun and healthy, and they will come. I think P.T. Barnum might have said that.
I don't think build it and they will come.
Build it and they will come, yeah.
But I guess you didn't talk to 20-somethings or 30-somethings when you were planning this day.
It's family-oriented over here.
Fine, but there are more than just families. There's people who like to stay up till midnight to see fireworks. And
there's going to be rock and roll and jazz, and many 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, lots of people like that.
Why don't you have it at Henry Hudson Park on the river?
Well, we wanted to have it pedestrian-centered around Four Corners right in the center of town. Henry Hudson is great, but actually on a January night, it might not be as good as in August. So having it close-centered so you can walk from one to the other, and, by the way, our downtown businesses can capitalize on it, too. You can go to dinner before. You can stay at one of the 3 nice neighborhood taverns, restaurants we have right in that area. So actually, the plan is after 10, when the choral singing goes away, then you can go and relax in a tavern if you want.
I see.
There may be connections to it.
Will the Bethlehem Chabad be serving kosher meals after 10 o'clock?
We're planning on it. The Bethlehem Chabad, we have the most center renting space, so we better.
So we could have kosher meals?
Well, stay tuned, yeah.
Stay
We're
tuned.
buying
There you go.
the Ark building now.
Right.
The viewers have the latest news.
It's out in the
half
open
a
now.
block.
Good,
It's
yep.
literally half a block.
But you
away
could be
from-
tying something in on New
Yeah,
Year's Eve with
you're
this
right. No, it's
first
actually
night?
double special this year because the Jewish calendar is a lunar calendar, and it happens to be this year. It's very, very late. This Saturday night, which is January 1st, New Year's Eve, is actually the 8th final night of Hanukkah. So we can actually have a Hanukkah celebration then. It's not always, it's probably very few times that it coincides. But this year, to start off the new celebration, that it will be the 8th night of Hanukkah, so that'll be very, very
That's
special.
fantastic. And the first night coincides also with Christmas Eve, not that the two melt, but it's a nice opportunity to reflect and for us all to get together.
Are you going to have the menorah lighting at the Four Corners again?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're on.
We're thinking about upgrading the menorah, too.
There
That's
we
a
go.
possibility.
There was
So-
some issue last year, I thought, about the menorah.
No, the menorah is good.
It was all good?
Everything was good.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, very good. Never
Big in
mind.
trouble, a news
No.
reporter, you're trying to...
But we are
So,
thinking about a new menorah,
Upgrade, yeah.
and so we're looking at that, as well as some nice new decorations for the Christmas tree.
Okay.
The Supreme Court has blessed these things, and it
That's
will.
right.
Well, I don't know if they blessed them, but they said they're okay for municipalities to put
It's
together.
My job to
judicial.
bless
Right.
the things.
Not the
and it's
court. No, no, no.
All right.
Okay, so let me ask you, are you done with all the fun stuff you have to tell us? or-
Wait.
Those are the 3 big ones. There's
Okay.
more fun stuff, but
Okay.
we've covered it, I think.
All right, well, I'm really interested in the dog park, because I really think you need to separate the big and the small dogs.
Mark, you have a little dog.
That's right, and then all the people bring the big dogs to the dog park. So,
So you want to separate it?
well, you know, they can have my little doggy for lunch. These.
You're not the only one who believes that. I do too, and we have a plan to do it. But you know, you can't do everything at once. Some
of
things
course
have
not.
to be rolled
Of
out.
course
But it is part of the master plan, so
Okay.
it's on the plan.
All right.
And some people look at it and say, well, you know, that plan, when's it going to happen? But a lot of things that we've sort of put parking, we're going to do this later, we're now doing. We're doing the Delaware Avenue
Okay.
enhancement. We did the sidewalk on Fierbush Road.
Okay.
We're doing other sidewalks in North Bethlehem, and we've got another one planned for Glenmont. So
Wonderful.
some things take time,
Okay.
but we do eventually get to them.
Okay. So, first of all, I want to ask you: are you going to think about running for re-election next year?
Well, gosh, it's kind of early for that. It's not even next year yet. But my default is always that I will run again. But you know, we'll look at that next year. Honestly.
Okay. Well, you've been one of the longest tenured supervisors in the town of Bethlehem so far.
Really? I didn't know that.
It depends how far back you go.
Well, till
Sheila Fuller was
17.
there 10 years, but yeah, no one's been even 2 terms full since Sheila, and that was a
So,
while
how
ago.
many terms have you been supervisor?
This is the 3rd term.
That you're in. So, you'd
Yes.
be, if you ran for re-election, it'd be the 4th term.
That would be 4.
Okay. So, you're still not the. Well, Sheila still has the record.
Are you saying I should try and break that, or
Of
are you
course.
setting up a competition
yeah.
here?
Of course, of course, you should break that. Everyone.
Take it under advisement.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got to tell you that, you know, you're doing a wonderful job in terms of paving roads. Now, maybe that's the highway superintendent who's a separately elected official, but, you know.
I think Brent is doing a good job. Of
the-
course,
the
the town
town
is responsible. We
you
provide the
know,
resources.
So if all the roads were pothole ridden, you'd be blamed and not Brent, but that would be, so you should take the credit that they're being paved. And it seems like it's fast, that they're being paved faster, like there's some quick drying asphalt that they're using now. It seems.
Well, now you would need to
not
talk to
take-
Brent or one of
Yeah,
our engineers.
I'm
who-
just saying what it seems. But I'll tell you, on some of the streets, after you pave them, now Verizon Fios is coming through, and they're they're marking up the streets with these, you know, different
We're not
colors.
generally digging under the streets unless it's an unusual situation.
Well, they
mark on there to show where
mark on
there
there,
are things they have to
and
go
so
over.
they're you know, graffitiing the beautiful new asphalt streets.
It
that
comes
we have
off in about a year.
in about a year. Okay, so if I said that and I drew some stuff on there, it probably would be penalty
Put
for
you in
me.
jail over here.
Maybe it's less than a year. It
So-
depends.
So I'm just saying that, you know, here, I mean, why not coordinate where if you know that Verizon is coming through on a certain street, that you don't pave until after they're done?
Well, they're not digging up the street. They're they're going along the side of it. I mean, we do coordinate with big picture infrastructure, like putting in a new sewer. We don't repave a street and then dig
You
it
know,
up.
talking about sewers, though, Mark and I probably have every politician in a 1 hour radius. And Albany, for sure, it's major headlines that their sewer system is falling apart. Troy had a major problem. You know, this is just a general problem. This whole capital district is probably, the whole area is about 100 years old. I mean,
Well-
what do you say about Bethlehem, really?
It's broader than that. I mean, the infrastructure is old on the East Coast, and we have actually in Bethlehem a very good progressive plan to rebuild. And of course, I must tell you, digging a new hole to put in a new sewer, it needs to be done, but it doesn't always make people happy. We had a big project going through Delmar, and we work with the contractor to try and make sure the work goes smoothly as possible. I think we learned some lessons on the last one, but nevertheless, it's no fun to fix your plumbing or to fix your roof, right? If you build a new house, that's fun because it's new. If you're just fixing the stuff that you need to have working, it's not necessarily fun, but very necessary. If you don't do it, you have problems. And we all know the central cities, Albany, Troy, they don't have as much resources as some of the suburban towns do, and they have much older infrastructure. It's much older than ours. The break that just occurred in Albany, in fact, impacted other
Which
other
break?
towns that
There's
rely
so
on
many
them.
of them. Which break?
Well,
There's so many
over
of
by
them.
Elbert on the other side of Washington Park.
Okay.
That was the big one. And
Well,
in
no,
fact,
there was the big one was Madison and New Scotland, and that closed down that intersection for over 2 months almost.
Well, I guess you're right. We think of
I
the
mean-
one that made us take less water from the system,
Oh,
and
I
that was
see.
the one
Oh.
on Elbert and Lake. It wasn't a big problem for Bethlehem, because we have several different water supplies, so we were able to work around it. We didn't even need water restrictions as the city of Albany, and
Right.
Guilderland has very definitely. So I think it's better if we are interreliant parts of the community. We have to try and plan and work together. But yeah, infrastructure is an issue, and I'd like to see more help from the state for this. I think we all would.
Okay, so now that you're talking about water lines, and I know that in the town of Bethlehem, around the Delmar, Glenmont area, Dover Drive, Route 32, that they have some tracks that where you have the gate up and it says City of Albany, and then on the gate, they're walking paths essentially.
Oh, that is the city's water line
And
that
then
goes
there's the
underline
city's
it.
water line goes by through there. And then you also have some town of Bethlehem water lines that go through, or even power line. I mean, the Department of Public, there's signs up there that say like 33 Boylston Drive, Department of Public Works, town of Bethlehem.
That's
signs
probably
up.
a sewer pump
So-
station, yeah.
So but I'm just saying that, these walking paths that are all
Well, let me
around
talk
there,
about that.
why don't you mow them? I mean, have them mowed. I mean, it's so frustrating.
Let me talk about the city water line, which goes all the way through town, and which is how the water reaches the city and Elbron Place and all of the city. I'd like to see an arrangement whereby people, wherever they're from, could walk on that, because people do walk on it,
They
as
do.
you know.
Yeah.
But the city is still saying technically, well, that's the water line, we got security, we got all this. To my
Right.
view, if you've got people out there, eyes on it, it's really better. It were anything untoward to happen, or
Right.
were someone to have bad ideas on their mind.
Uh-huh.
So where you have a path that is useful for pedestrians, for all of us to walk, that's enjoyable, I'd rather see it sort of maintained and see it open legitimately to the public, which it is not. So I hope someday we
I
can come
did
to an
talk to-
agreement with the city to do that.
I did talk to Joe Coffey a couple of weeks ago about this. He's the water commissioner for the
Yes,
city of
yes.
Albany. And he said, what they don't want, and which is why they have the gates up, is they don't want these land vehicles.
Yeah,
to-
ATVs.
ATVs to be using that because it chews up the.
I can
the thing.
understand
So
that, sure.
So he says, as far as walking, yeah, sure, no problem. You want to walk your dog, you want to just take a stroll, you want to bring your kid around there, that's fine.
Well, that's
I said,
very
but you-
encouraging. I'll be reaching out to Mr. Coffey, because
Yes.
if that's his thought, we'd like to come to an agreement
Yeah.
where people could use the water line. So I'll talk to Mr. Coffey as well as Mayor Sheehan, and hopefully we can get this thing going,
Well-
because I've been trying for a while.
You know,
Well,
you
I
talk
know Joe
about-
Coffey's relatively new, and maybe this is something that, I don't know if you've reached out to him personally, but.
We
this-
have, yes. He's
this
who
is
we've been
something-
speaking to.
This
yes.
is something that I've heard personally from him, not.
Talking about
surrogates.
walking trails, the railroad lines, that's an incredible.
That's a
talk
great
about
facility,
That,
yeah.
That's something very new. Talk about a fun thing, you didn't mention that, that's great.
The rail trail?
Yeah, rail trail, that's.
Well, that opened in the spring. I was giving you stuff that's just
Oh,
happening
yeah,
this
the
fall.
hottest news
Yeah,
already.
everybody,
Stuff.
there's been so much positive feedback from that. Everyone loves it. The county executive and others are glad that's happening. There's still more to do. The town of Bethlehem paved from Delaware Ave Veterans Park out to Slingerlands. The county is working on that terminal there, and hopefully we'll be extending to Voorheesville. We're working with Assemblywoman Fahey to look at maybe have a pavilion on the way up, because it's nice to have a place to come off and rest and go to the shops and
Smart,
stuff.
yeah.
But it's a huge success. People love it. It encourages me, and I think others, to look more at pedestrian facilities. It's hard to spend money on anything, of course. You have to balance everything. But when we built the sidewalks, we
Yeah.
have had so much positive response. It seems to be something the
I
community
know for in
supports.
front of my house, of course, on Ellesmere Avenue, and there was, old timers saying, hey, this is the suburbs, you don't have sidewalks, and there was a big argument, whatever, a number of years ago, and obviously it passed. And I just see in front of my people walking their dogs, their old people and kids. It's just really a resource, not like, okay, one person has benefit from it. It's just, there's just a whole slew
So
of people.
it's a good thing? You're
I think
happy?
it's a good thing. Well,
Okay.
because people have to walk to the synagogue on the Sabbath, and they would like even more. They're saying, tell your friend John Clarkson that we need more sidewalks on Furbush.
Well, I come, right over on Ellesmere, there's a path that comes out on Ellesmere that begins over on Boylston, and that's a.
That's the water
path.
line. That
That's
is
the water line, yeah, that we take
Yeah.
when we walk to services at the Delmar Chabad.
So, Mayor Sheehan, Commissioner Coffey, we
Now-
want to work with you on opening up the water line.
Right, no, but they do say that I got to tell you that Commissioner Coffey said that he has so many miles to mow, and these are big machines, he told me, that takes to mow these paths, that he says that he can't get
It's gravel.
to them.
really, for the-
Yeah, but on either side of the gravel.
Well, look, we'll
that's
reach
what
out,
he
maybe
means.
there's
So,
an intergovernmental solution that
Yeah,
will work.
is that something that you could do in terms of, would you charge them if you mowed, if that town of
Well, let's sit
Bethlehem?
down, let's work it out. The important thing is to let people out there
Right.
legitimately and have them do it. And on your
That's
comment
what I
on
thought, yeah.
sidewalks generally, I will say, Albany certainly has sidewalks over. Bethlehem has a lot more than other suburbs. I think it's a great advantage we have over, say, Guilderland or Clifton Park,
yeah.
or even Colony.
Yeah.
And we want to capitalize on that. And we also, I think it helps shape us as a community. Having people being able to walk is very important. You see we're doing some work on Kenwood and on Delaware. And Brent does quite a bit of this. He uses the highway department when they're not busy to help with the sidewalks. So
Right.
they do the underlayment, we bring in a contractor for the top layment, and we've really been able to do a lot more these past couple of years since he's been here.
Yeah,
So
you have a very accommodating highway department. I have to compliment them. I mean, it's very nice.
they do a lot more than highways. They do the repaving, they do the
Right.
snow, they do
Right.
the leaf collection, they do
And
the
there's no
brush
Democrat or
collection.
Republican way to pave or plow. I mean, it's, you know.
Not that I'm aware of.
So let me just ask you, because I don't want time to go by so fast, there's some serious issues. What, the budget for the town, what is it at now, and what was it 8 years ago when you first ran?
You know, the interesting thing is actually was lower, it is lower this year than it was when I came in 2012. We had some difficult financial problems that first year. They've been dealt with really, and we have great financial policies, long-term planning, a fund balance policy. We have gotten an absolute zero on the controller's fiscal stress measures now 2 years in a row. Zero is a perfect score. It's like getting zero in golf. You can't do it. But there's absolutely no signs of any stress.
Lower the better, right?
We've worked very hard on that and got a credit rating upgrade. Now that all said, I'm about to propose this year's budget, and yeah, we're finally going positive after all these years, and I don't think that's unusual. Generally, things
So
go
what's
up.
the new, when you propose the next budget, what's the bottom line going to be?
Well, you're going to have to
approximately?
come
Oh,
Wednesday
please.
then. No, it's
Just-
not out
Just
there yet. I'm
approximately.
sorry.
That's a scoop,
I'm not
scoop.
asking you what the specifics. You don't have
I
to.
can't. We're still working on it for one thing.
Yeah, but
so.
is it, but just to give, is it 150 million, is it 20 million? Is
Oh,
it-
it's still 40.
It's
It's
in
been
40-ish.
rounding to 40 or 40 for some time.
Oh, that's all I'm asking, yeah, yeah. About
It
40
actually
million,
was
okay.
down in dollars as of last year. That is no longer going to last
Okay.
this year. It's going to
Okay,
go up.
okay. I just
But you
wanted-
know, people like our services, they like what we're doing, and I think that's reasonable after a time. I can say no other capital district municipality would be able to come and say, we're spending less than we were 8 years ago, we had a credit rating upgrade, we're zero fiscal stuff, and we're in great shape. Now, some of that's good management. We'll
Well,
take
you
credit
gotta-
where it's due,
when you
but
give-
realistically, our situation is not so bad. If you look at the economics compared to what Mayor Sheehan faces, what the city of Troy faces, you know, we're not going to kid anyone. We started out, you know, with a head start.
Well, so was Colony started out when help me out with the supervisor.
Paula Mahan.
Paula Mahan started out, and then she had to raise taxes for 1 year, and then it was a separate line, then she, you know, got rid of that. But I'm just saying that, you know, what's going, I mean, the city of Albany's budget is 10% out of whack. And when I spoke to the mayor, she has the city hall on the road thing, and the mayor said to me, it's only money.
It was
And I was like,
it was
what?
out of whack long before Mayor Sheehan got there. I mean, anyone who's
Yeah, but she
been
didn't-
living in the country
but you
has
know what?
seen the financial
But she
pressures
didn't
on
do
the
anything
central
to,
cities.
she hasn't done anything to improve it in all these years, and she's had a lot of time, whereas you did something to improve the situation, and so did Paula Mahan. So-
I think you have to look at the relative situation. Anyway, I can answer questions
Yeah,
about
about
my
Bethlehem,
budget. It's
I know.
just in taking
But you
credit,
need
I
advice
wanted
from
to
you.
be realistic and certainly not brag. We did what we could do, and we were able to do it. It's very much harder if you start with greater expenses and much, much less revenue. So we understand that. That's why I emphasize working on solutions with the city of Albany.
Right.
We want to be a partner in regional planning for economic growth. You know, when I'm in California, which actually hasn't happened for 20 years, but when I'm out of state and people ask me where am I from, I say I'm from Albany.
Right.
You probably say the
Yeah,
same thing
that's-
because they know Albany. They might not know Bethlehem, Delmar, or
Right.
Slingerlands. And we are all, our stake is a stake in the broader community. And so I care how Albany does. I think all the suburban towns ought to. Our future is intertwined. So I want to see things that can help lift us all up. Yeah, we've done a great job on our budget, but I'd like to see the city too, and it will take more work.
Now, I looked at the town board members, and the town board members from when you started are not there anymore. You have a whole new slate of town board members from when you first started. I mean, is that unusual to have such a turnover?
I don't think so. It's you know, you're right. A lot of people have come, some have stayed. Most of the people who came in, none of them were there when I came in. Joanne Dawson stayed for another term. You know, we have elections. People also only put in so many years. We have some great board members who said, I put in my term and that's all I'm going to serve.
Do you have an all-Democratic board? Because that was for the case for a while.
It's been all it was all Democratic and Independence Party since before I was there. Doris, I believe, is not registered with a party. She's a complete independent. She was appointed. She wasn't elected, and has been doing a fantastic job.
And she was a Republican 20 years ago.
I believe so, yeah.
When I knew her.
Well, you know, Republican, Democrat, Independent, she's a wonderful person.
Right.
She cares about the town and has been.
I'm just talking about how things have changed. I mean, you know, politically.
George Lenhart,
yes.
Also, we appointed the board, a wonderful man.
And he's
did
on
a
some other
fantastic
commission.
job.
I noticed his name. He's on some other town commission or something.
He's on the conservation. Oh no, he's on the ethics board.
Right.
He has been on the Slingerlands Fire District Board of Commissioners previously and held other offices there. He was on our board of ambulance and EMS commissioners.
Yeah.
George, his wife Lynn Doof, she's on the school board. They do tremendous service. And that's a good example. I mean, town government, municipal government, it's about what you can do for the people. I don't, you know, I am a Democrat, yes, but I don't, you know, I'd like it if we could stay free of sort of the push and pull of national politics and the labels. And I would point to Doris and Jim as two of my favorite people, the best board members I've had the pleasure to work with.
Doris and Jim.
Oh, I'm sorry, George, yes.
Doris and George.
Yes.
Okay, so now let me ask you about the Vista Technology Park. What's the update with that?
We're still waiting for Monolith Solar to go in. They've been before the IDA recently. They were a go. They had trouble with their financing. The financing got fixed, and now they're back for another go. We can hope that they will break ground this fall. The park, if you will, is mainly retail, depending on whether or not you count the medical at this point, and we still want to see those other buildings go in. That was the plan, was to start it with retail. It paid for the road to go in, for example. And actually, those shops are paying substantial property taxes already. It's up around $500,000 if you look at all the jurisdictions. Each year, as their pilots phase down, they pay more. And so that's all to the good. People are, you know, the restaurants that are there and some of the retail outlets people are very happy with. We want to see more jobs there. We've got the monolith proposal, which, you know, not only we, but the state government is going to give a lot of aid to should they be successful. We want to see more jobs and more business taking hold there. Takes time. The Vista plan goes back about 2 decades. Ground was first broken in 2012, I believe, and am I satisfied? No, I want more and I want to see more. But what we like about it is that it is business, non-residential, taxable for the Bethlehem Central School District and for the town. So it's developing in a corner of town where it's not troubling to people, because you don't have, for example, you know, large office spaces going into residences other than the original owners there.
Now, there is a case that I read about, and in fact,
last question, Mark.
On Delaware Avenue, on Bedell, on Delaware and Bedell, there's like a housing, 16 apartment unit.
There are apartments going in there.
And people are upset with this? Yeah. What was there before? Was that the real estate agent that had
There was an old house there that I think was a real estate agent, and the lot went back some way.
Banker or something?
What we try and do is where apartments can go in are sort of in the urban areas next to, you know, where there's already a concentration of population.
I don't see a problem. It's only 16 units. I mean, why is there a problem?
Well, Mark, I think you ought to then talk to the residents, because, you know, honestly, change is always, you know, you like, in my neighborhood, there's the Manja restaurant, which closed. We all loved it, and it's closed, and it's too bad. Now there's a proposal there. But what we try and do is keep sort of the denser development where it's
Right.
already dense. And many people want to live in apartments. There used to be a time when Delmar Bethlehem was, oh heavens, not apartments, you know, that's a bad thing. We don't believe that anymore. We like to see choices for people.
Right, and it's across the street from the school, from elementary school, right? So you might bring young families.
Usually
Yeah.
that's not the case. Usually families want to buy a house. That's what we've found. And
Uh-huh.
actually, so the apartments actually are usually a little bit better on the tax base. But in any event, there have to be choices for people. We want everyone to have good housing, and so we do have variety. I don't want to become Guilderland where there's a ton of apartments
Okay.
in big fields.
I got to ask you a couple of quick questions. 9W and Wemple Road, the development there, anything happening with that?
That's, I think dead is the proper word. The developer was not, you
It's
know,
dead?
It's
It's
nothing
done?
is
That's
is dead permanently, but the town staff and the town board that's one that the town board would have had approval of. We looked at it, we saw problems, we said, can you address this? And basically, the
No.
yes wasn't forthcoming, so we
Okay.
told them, you can fill out the application if you want, but, you know.
Okay, so how much did it cost the town to help the city of Albany fix the closing of Crumbkill Road? When that
It was like 250 in that realm, I forget, it might have been 260, I forget the precise
1,000 or
number.
million?
1,000, oh gosh, no.
Not the
No,
United
not
States
millions.
government over
Oh,
here.
I know, I'm just teasing you. No.
And, you know,
Considering your town budget's 40 million, so this is, no, but it was 250,000
yeah, that was our share, the city
That was-
paid half,
and paid another 250.
yeah.
Yeah,
Bridges, culverts are expensive, and, you know, we were.
so that's what happened, the whole thing just collapsed?
Yeah, it was getting old, it was needing of repair, but the thing is, when you put in a new one, you have to meet the new standard. It's had to be bigger, it had to be designed differently, but it's fixed. We have a great road there now, and it should be good for another 200 years, so.
Right, no, I understand.
Should
I'm
only
just
live
saying.
that long. Listen, Mark, we're out of time.
We're out of time, I only got to like top of one
Listen,
page
we're
here.
well over time probably, but John Clarkson, you're doing great work in the
Thank
town
you.
of Bethlehem, and I'm really proud to be a resident in your city, town, and keep on going with the good work and do it with good health.
Continued success, John.
Thank you so much, and I'm
Absolutely.
sorry we ran out of time. You can always have me back.
I will, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thanks, Mark.
Okay.